So this is where they come from. I came out here this morning to pick these, and I want to share something with you while I'm here, because most people think about blueberries as a healthy snack, something good for you in a general sense. But what is actually happening inside your body and specifically inside your brain when you eat these is far more specific than most people have ever heard explained. And being here, picking them at the source, felt like the right place to tell you why. So look at this color, that deep blue purple. That is not just what blueberries look like. That color is the blueberry's defense system. Blueberry plants grow in environments with intense sunlight, temperature changes, and physical stress. And in response to that stress, they produce pigments called anthocyanins. These are the compounds that give blueberries their color. The plant makes them to protect itself from UV radiation, from oxidative damage, and from environmental threats. And here's what makes this extraordinary. When you eat these blueberries, when those anthocyanins enter your body, they do for your brain what they were doing for the plant. They protect it. The same pigment that defended the blueberry bush defends your neurons. That is not coincidence. That is a relationship between plants and humans that eat them that goes back hundreds of thousands of years. Your body knows exactly what to do with these compounds because it has been receiving them for most of human history. So what specifically are anthocyanins doing inside your brain? The first thing, and the one I find most remarkable, is their effect on BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor. BDNF is your brain's own growth hormone. It is the protein responsible for the growth, connection, and survival of your neurons. When BDNF is active and abundant, your brain builds new connections. It learns more efficiently, it remembers more clearly, and it protects existing neurons from damage and decline. When BDNF is low, with chronic stress, poor sleep, and a depleted nervous system, those all reduce BDNF. The brain's ability to adapt and repair slows down. So anthocyanins from blueberries have been shown across multiple studies to support BDNF levels. They activate the same signaling pathways that BDNF uses, essentially helping your brain maintain the conditions it needs to stay sharp, to stay connected and resilient. One study gave participants 200 grams of blueberries, roughly a cup and a half, and found significant improvements in verbal memory alongside maintained BDNF levels. The brain was literally better resourced after the blueberries than before. The second thing anthocyanins do is increase blood flow to the brain. They stimulate the production of nitric oxide in your blood vessels. Nitric oxide relaxes and widens the vessels, including the small vessels that supply blood to your brain. So more blood flow means more oxygen, more glucose, and more of everything your neurons need to function at their best. Research has shown that regular blueberry consumption improves episodic memory, the kind of memory that helps you recall events, that helps you recall names and specific details. And the mechanism behind that improvement is partly this: better blood supply to the regions of the brain responsible for memory formation. This is why blueberries are one of the most studied foods in Alzheimer's research. The combination of reduced neuroinflammation with increased BDNF and improved cerebral blood flow targets the exact conditions that lead to cognitive decline. You do not need to wait for cognitive decline to benefit from this. Every cup of blueberries you eat is an investment in the brain you will have in 10, 20, 30 years. The third layer, and the one that connects most directly to everything else on this channel, is neuroinflammation. Chronic stress, poor sleep, and an overactivated nervous system all create a state of low-grade inflammation in the brain. The same HPA axis dysregulation I talk about in my videos on energy, sleep, and mood. That chronic cortisol elevation is directly associated with increased neuroinflammation. Neuroinflammation impairs the signaling between neurons. It reduces cognitive clarity. It contributes to the brain fog, to the low mood and mental fatigue that so many people experience and cannot explain. Anthocyanins are among the most potent anti-neuroinflammatory compounds in the food world. They cross the blood-brain barrier, which most plant compounds cannot do, and directly reduce the inflammatory cytokines that are disrupting neural communication. So when you eat blueberries, you are not just feeding your brain, you are calming the inflammatory environment that chronic stress creates in it. That is the nervous system connection. Your nervous system, your HPA axis, your stress response, all of it creates conditions in the brain. Blueberries work on those conditions directly. One more thing. The anthocyanin content of blueberries is highest when they are fresh and just picked. Light, heat, and time all degrade anthocyanins. By the time most people eat a blueberry from a supermarket shelf, it has been transported, stored, and sitting for days. The compound that does the protective work has already started to break down. Picking them yourself, eating them fresh, is not just a nice experience. It is the most potent version of the medicine. That is why I came here. So the next time you pick up a handful of blueberries, or better yet, go somewhere like this and pick them yourself, I want you to think about what you are actually holding. A plant that made this color under pressure, under stress, under intense sun and temperature and environmental challenge. It made these pigments to protect itself. And now, that same intelligence, that same protective chemistry is available to your brain. That is what food as medicine actually means. Not a supplement, not a protocol, just a blueberry, picked from a bush, eaten fresh, doing what it has done for the human brain for hundreds of thousands of years. If this resonated, subscribe. Every week I share contents on herbs, nutrition, brain health, and nervous system wellness, rooted in traditional medicine and neuroscience. Health Roots Holistic, rooted in nature, backed by science.